In the silence before dawn, when the world sleeps and the mind finally finds its clarity, there exists a truth that most men never discover. It is the truth of the unbreakable fortress that lies within a citadel of peace that no external storm can penetrate, no betrayal can breach, no manipulation can conquer. This fortress is built not with walls of stone, but with something far more impenetrable: the disciplined coldness of the Stoic spirit. We live in an age of emotional chaos. Every day we are bombarded by the desperate hunger of others for our attention, our energy, our peace. They come at us with their drama, their manufactured crises, their endless need for validation and reaction. Like wolves circling a dying fire, they probe for weakness, searching for the crack in our armor where they can sink their teeth and feed on our emotional response. They have made a marketplace of our reactions, trading in the currency of our disturbance. But what if I told you that you possess the power to become untouchable? What if the ancient philosophers who walked through the fires of Rome, who faced death with unwavering calm, who ruled empires while maintaining perfect inner stillness, had left us a blueprint for this kind of invincibility? What if the very thing that makes you appear cold to the world is actually the warmest gift you can give yourself, the gift of unshakable peace? This is not about becoming heartless. This is not about shutting out love or compassion or the genuine connections that make life worth living. This is about developing what the ancients called the discipline of desire, the discipline of action, and most importantly, the discipline of assent. It is about becoming so centered in your own truth, so anchored in your own values, that the storms of other people's chaos cannot move you from your foundation. The Stoics called this state apathy, and not apathy as we understand it today. It's something far more powerful. It was the state of being untouchable by external events, unmoved by the manipulations of others, unshaken by the inevitable disappointments and betrayals that mark every human life. It was emotional freedom in its purest form. Marcus Aurelius, who carried the weight of an empire on his shoulders, understood this better than perhaps any man who ever lived. In his Meditations, written not for publication, but for his own soul's discipline, he wrote, "You have power over your mind. Outside events, realize this, and you will find strength." These words were not philosophy in the abstract. They were the hard-won wisdom of a man who faced betrayal from those closest to him, who watched friends become enemies, who ruled over millions while maintaining his inner sovereignty. When you develop true Stoic coldness, you become like water that cannot be grasped, like air that cannot be captured. People will try to provoke you into anger, to bait you into arguments, to drag you down into their emotional quicksand, but you remain still, remain unmoved. Not because you don't care, but because you care so deeply about your own peace that you refuse to let anyone else determine your emotional state. Think about the last time someone tried to manipulate you. Perhaps it was a colleague who attempted to make you feel guilty for not taking on their responsibilities. Perhaps it was a family member who used emotional blackmail to get their way. Perhaps it was a partner who tried to control you through anger or tears or threats. In that moment, what did you do? Did you react? Did you defend yourself? Did you argue? Did you feel that familiar surge of frustration, that burning need to make them understand, to make them see reason? This is where most men lose their power. In the moment of reaction, we hand over control of our emotional state to someone else. We become dependent on their approval, their understanding, their validation. We make our peace contingent on their behavior. We give them the keys to our inner kingdom and then wonder why we feel constantly under siege. The Stoic warrior chooses a different path. When provoked, he becomes still. When attacked, he becomes unmoved. When manipulated, he becomes unreachable. This is not weakness disguised as strength. This is strength in its purest form, the strength to remain yourself regardless of what others are doing around you. Epictetus, who knew slavery and freedom both, taught us that we cannot control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond to what happens to us. He said, "No one can hurt you without your permission." This is not victim-blaming philosophy. This is the recognition that our emotional response is the only thing that truly belongs to us. Everything else, other people's behavior, unexpected. Events, failures and successes, all of this exists in the realm of things we cannot control. When you truly internalize this understanding, something profound happens. The opinions of others lose their power over you. Their anger cannot touch you. Their manipulation cannot move you. Their drama cannot disturb your peace. You become like a mountain in a storm, aware of the weather, but fundamentally unchanged by it. This coldness that others perceive in you is actually the warmth of self-respect burning bright within you. It is the heat of a man who knows his own worth and does not need others to validate it. It is the fire of someone who has chosen his own peace over the temporary satisfaction of winning arguments or proving points or making others understand his perspective in the marketplace of daily life. People are constantly trying to sell you their emotions. They want you to buy into their anger, to invest in their outrage, to purchase shares in their drama. The Stoic man looks at these offerings and simply walks away. He is not a customer in this marketplace. He has found something better. Quiet satisfaction of his own unshakable center, Seneca, who navigated the treacherous waters of Roman politics while maintaining his philosophical principles, wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end when you choose Stoic coldness as your shield. You are ending your participation in the endless cycle of emotional reactivity that keeps most people trapped. You are beginning a new way of being in the world, one where your peace is not negotiable, where your calm is not for sale, where your center cannot be moved by the storms of other people's chaos. This transformation does not happen overnight. It is built through daily practice, through countless moments of choosing stillness over reaction, silence over argument, distance over engagement. Each time you refuse to take the bait, each time you let an insult pass without response, each time you walk away from a pointless conflict. You are building the muscles of your inner fortress. The beauty of this practice is that it compounds. Over time, the more you choose non-reactivity, the less reactive you become by nature. The more you practice emotional discipline, the more disciplined your emotions become. The more you protect your peace, the more peaceful you naturally are. You begin to operate from a place of such inner stability that external chaos becomes almost amusing rather than disturbing. People will test this new version of you. They will try harder to get a reaction. They will escalate their tactics. They will accuse you of not caring, of being cold, of being unfeeling. This is when your practice becomes most important. This is when the strength of your inner fortress is truly tested. Will you defend it? Will you maintain your boundaries? Will you protect your peace even when others are demanding that you abandon it? The Stoic warrior knows that every accusation of coldness is actually a recognition of his strength. Every complaint about his lack of emotional availability is actually an admission that he cannot be controlled. Every criticism of his non-reactivity is actually a testimony to his freedom. He does not need to defend himself against these accusations because he knows they are born from the frustration of those who have lost their power to manipulate him. In the ancient world, the Stoics were known for their ability to face death with equanimity. But the greater challenge, the more impressive feat, was their ability to face life with the same calm dignity. Death comes once. Life's provocations come daily. The man who can remain unmoved by the constant stream of other people's emotional chaos has achieved something far more difficult than courage in the face of mortality. He has achieved peace in the face of humanity, Marcus Aurelius reminds us. How much trouble he avoids who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does, but only to what he does himself. This is the essence of Stoic coldness, the turning of attention inward, the focusing on what is within our control, the refusal to be disturbed by the endless drama of others. When you walk this path, you discover that peace is not something you have to find or create or earn. Peace is your natural state when you stop participating in activities that destroy it. Happiness is not something you have to chase or achieve. Happiness emerges naturally when you stop doing things that make you miserable. Freedom is not something you have to fight for in the external world. Freedom is what remains when you stop allowing others to control your internal world. The cold distance that others perceive in you is actually the closest you have ever been to your true self. The emotional unavailability they complain about is actually your complete availability to your own truth. The walls they accuse you of building are actually the boundaries that allow genuine connection to flourish with those who deserve access to your inner world. This is perhaps the most misunderstood aspect of Stoic coldness. It does not make you incapable of love. It makes you capable of love without attachment. It does not make you indifferent to others. It makes you indifferent to their opinions of you. It does not make you emotionally unavailable. It makes you emotionally self-sufficient, which is the foundation of all healthy relationships. When you no longer need others to validate your worth, you can love them without desperation. When you no longer require their approval to feel good about yourself, you can appreciate them without neediness. When you no longer depend on their behavior to determine your emotional state, you can accept them without trying to change them. The paradox of Stoic coldness is that by becoming emotionally independent, you become capable of genuine emotional intimacy. By refusing to react to manipulation, you create space for authentic connection. By protecting your peace so fiercely, you have peace to share with those who approach you with respect rather than demands. Epictetus taught his students, "Wealth consists in not having great possessions, but in having few wants." The same principle applies to emotional wealth. Emotional richness consists not in having intense reactions to everything that happens, but in having few needs for external validation. The man who requires nothing from others in terms of their behavior, their approval, or their understanding is the richest man of all, because his wealth cannot be taken from him. This inner wealth manifests as an unshakable confidence that others find both attractive and intimidating. You become the kind of man that people want to understand but cannot quite figure out. You become mystery rather than an open book. You become depth rather than surface. You become quality rather than quantity in all your interactions. The Stoic coldness you develop is not the absence of feeling, it is the presence of choice. You feel everything, but you choose what deserves your emotional energy. You hear everything, but you choose what deserves your response. You see everything, but you choose what deserves your attention. This selectivity, this discrimination, this refusal to react to everything that presents itself for your consideration. This is what others interpret as coldness, but those who have earned access to your inner circle, those who have proven themselves worthy of your trust and emotional investment, discover that your coldness toward the world is actually the warmth you reserve for them. Your selectivity makes your attention more valuable. Your emotional discipline makes your emotional availability more precious. Your peace makes your presence more healing, Seneca wrote. The mind that is anxious about future misfortunes is miserable. The Stoic warrior extends this principle to present misfortunes as well, including the misfortune of dealing with toxic people, manipulative relationships, and the endless drama that others try to involve him in. His mind remains clear because he refuses to anxious about these things. He has learned to see them as whether temporary conditions that will pass if he does not feed them with his attention. This perspective transforms your entire relationship with conflict. Arguments become impossible because you refuse to participate. Drama becomes powerless because you deny it an audience. Manipulation becomes ineffective because you do not provide the emotional response it requires to function. You become ungovernable because you have learned to govern yourself. The strength this provides is unlike any other kind of power you can develop. Physical strength can be overcome by greater physical strength. Intellectual strength can be matched by superior intelligence. Financial strength can be destroyed by economic circumstances beyond your control. But emotional strength, the strength to remain unmoved by the chaos around youth, this strength is invincible because it depends on nothing external for its existence. Marcus Aurelius, even while ruling the known world, found his greatest battles were internal. He wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." This simple instruction contains profound wisdom for the modern man trying to protect his peace. The present moment is the only place where you have any power. The past is beyond your control. The future is beyond your prediction. But right now, in this moment, you can choose how to respond to what is in front of you. When someone tries to drag you into their drama, you can choose stillness. When someone attempts to manipulate your emotions, you can choose distance. When someone demands a reaction from you, you can choose silence. These choices, made consistently over time, create an impenetrable fortress around your peace of mind. The beauty of this approach is that it requires no one else's cooperation. You do not need others to understand your boundaries in order to enforce them. You do not need their permission to protect your peace. You do not need their agreement to maintain your emotional discipline. This power is entirely self-contained, entirely self-directed, entirely within your control. As you develop this capacity for emotional self-governance, you begin to notice how much energy you were previously wasting on things that did not deserve it. The arguments that led nowhere, the attempts to convince people who were determined not to be convinced, the emotional labor invested in relationships with people who never reciprocated, the mental space occupied by worries about what others thought of you, all of this energy returns to you when you embrace Stoic coldness. It becomes available for things that actually matter: your own growth, your genuine relationships, your meaningful work, your authentic purposes. You discover that you have been living on a fraction of your actual power because you were giving so much of it away to people and situations that did not deserve it. The transformation others witness in you is not an act or a pose or a strategy. It is the natural result of a man who has learned to value his own peace above all else. You become quieter because you have nothing to prove. You become more selective because you understand the value of your time and attention. Become less available because you are finally available to yourself. This unavailability to drama becomes an availability to depth. Distance from chaos becomes a closeness to truth. This coldness toward manipulation becomes a warmth toward authenticity. You do not become less human, you become more human. By refusing to participate in the inhuman games that most people play with each other, Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The Stoic warrior takes this teaching to its logical conclusions. The most powerful reaction is no reaction at all. Sometimes the strongest response is silence. Sometimes the most effective action is walking away. This walking away is not running away. It is not avoidance or cowardice or fear. It is the conscious choice of a man who knows that his peace is more valuable than any temporary satisfaction he might gain from engaging with toxicity. It is the wisdom of someone who understands that not every battle deserves to be fought. Not every provocation deserves a response. Not every invitation to chaos deserves acceptance. The Stoic coldness you develop becomes a gift, not just to yourself, but to everyone around you. Your refusal to participate in drama creates space for others to step out of it as well. Your emotional stability provides an anchor for those who are lost in their own storms. Your peace becomes a beacon for others who are searching for their own path to tranquility. You begin to attract different kinds of people into your life, people who appreciate depth over drama, quality over quantity, authenticity over performance. The energy vampires and attention seekers and emotional manipulators gradually drift away because they cannot feed on what you are no longer providing. In their place come people who respect your boundaries, who value your wisdom, who contribute to your peace rather than disturbing it. This natural selection process in your relationships is one of the most powerful benefits of Stoic coldness. You do not have to actively exclude toxic people from your life. They exclude themselves when they realize they cannot control you. You do not have to fight for your boundaries. You simply maintain them, and those who cannot respect them reveal themselves and remove themselves from your path. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." The man who maintains his Stoic coldness in the face of aggression, manipulation, and provocation is living this principle perfectly. He does not become what others try to make him. He does not sink to their level, does not match their energy. He remains himself, regardless of what they do. This consistency, this reliability of character, this refusal to be moved from your center, this becomes your reputation. People know what to expect from you. They know that drama will not work. They know that manipulation will be met with silence. Know that attempts to provoke will be met with stillness. This knowledge changes how they approach you, and ultimately, It changes how they see themselves in relation to you. The respect this earns is different from the respect. It comes from fighting back or proving your point or winning arguments. It is the respect given to strength that does not need to demonstrate itself, to power that does not need to prove itself, to confidence that does not need to defend itself. It is the respect reserved for those who have mastered themselves so completely that external circumstances cannot touch their inner state. Seneca taught, "Every man is in bondage to fear who depends upon fortune's whims." The Stoic warrior extends this understanding to emotional bondage. Every man is enslaved who depends upon others' behavior for his own emotional state. True freedom comes when you realize that your peace, your happiness, your sense of self-worth, all of these, can be maintained regardless of what anyone else does or says or thinks. This realization is both liberating and sobering. Liberating, because it means you are never truly powerless. Sobering, because it means you can never truly blame others for your emotional state. The responsibility for your inner world rests entirely with you. This responsibility is both the burden and the gift of the Stoic path. When you accept this responsibility fully, something remarkable happens. The complaints and criticisms and judgments of others lose their sting because you are no longer looking to them for validation. The approval and praise and admiration of others becomes pleasant but unnecessary, because you have learned to approve of yourself. The presence or absence of others in your life becomes acceptable because you have learned to be present with yourself. This self-sufficiency is not isolation, it is the foundation for genuine connection. When you no longer need others to complete you, you can appreciate them for who they are rather than who you need them to be. When you no longer require their behavior to match your preferences, you can accept them as they are. When you no longer depend on them for your happiness, you can enjoy their company without attachment to outcomes. The Stoic coldness you develop toward the world's chaos becomes a warmth toward the world's beauty. The emotional distance you maintain from drama creates space for appreciation of genuine moments. The boundaries you enforce against toxicity create room for nourishing experiences to flourish. This is the ultimate paradox of the Stoic path. By caring less about what others think, you become more capable of caring about what matters. By needing less from the world, you become more available to receive what the world has to offer. By protecting your peace so fiercely, you create the conditions where peace can grow and spread to others. Marcus Aurelius, in his private reflections, wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." The Stoic warrior who has developed emotional coldness as protection for his peace embodies this instruction completely. He does not argue about boundaries, he maintains them. He does not debate about respect, he commands it through his presence. He does not discuss his values, he lives them. This living example becomes more powerful than any words could be. Others see in you what is possible when someone chooses their own peace over the endless drama of the world. They witness what a man looks like when he is no longer controlled by external circumstances. They observe the calm confidence that comes from emotional self-mastery. Some will be inspired by this example and begin their own journey towards Stoic discipline. Others will be threatened by your freedom and try even harder to disturb your peace. The wise man remains unmoved by both responses. He did not choose this path to inspire others or to threaten them. He chose it because he recognized that his peace was worth protecting, and that protection required the development of emotional coldness toward those who would disturb it. As you walk this path, you will discover that Stoic coldness is not something you turn on and off like a switch. It becomes your natural state, a steady, unshakable calm that others find both mysterious and magnetic. You become the kind of person that others want to understand but cannot quite figure out. You become depth rather than surface, substance rather than show, quality rather than quantity in all your interactions. The silence that others interpret as coldness is actually the sound of a mind at peace. The distance they perceive is actually the closeness you have achieved with yourself. The unavailability they complain about is actually your complete availability to what truly matters in your life. This is the gift of Stoic coldness, not the absence of feeling, but the presence of choice in how you respond to feeling, not the inability to care, but the wisdom to be selective about what deserves your care. Not emotional numbness, but emotional intelligence of the highest order. In the end, the peace you protect through stoic coldness becomes the peace you emanate to the world. The strength you develop in remaining unmoved becomes the stability others can depend on. The freedom you achieve from others' opinions becomes the freedom that allows you to love without attachment, to give without expectation, to live without the constant need for external validation. This is the way of the Stoic warrior, not cold because he cannot feel, but cold because he chooses when and how and to whom he reveals the depth of his feeling. It's not distant because he fears connection, but distant from chaos, so that he can be truly present for what matters. Not unfeeling because he is incapable of emotion, but disciplined in his emotions because he understands their power and refuses to let others control them. The fortress you build around your peace becomes the foundation from which you can genuinely serve the world. The coldness you develop toward manipulation becomes the warmth you can offer to authenticity. The distance you maintain from drama becomes the closeness you can achieve with truth. This is not the end of feeling. This is the beginning of feeling with wisdom. This is not the death of connection. This is the birth of connection without desperation. This is not the absence of love. This is love protected by the fortress of self-respect. Nurtured in the garden of emotional discipline, offered freely to those who have proven themselves worthy of such a precious gift. Walk this path with the confidence of one who knows that his peace is not negotiable. His calm is not for sale, and his center cannot be moved by the storms of other people's chaos. In a world that profits from your reaction, your non-reaction becomes the most radical act of all. In a society that feeds on drama, your refusal to participate becomes a revolutionary act of self-preservation. The ancient philosophers who walked before us through empires and slavery, through betrayal and loss, through the rise and fall of civilizations, left us this wisdom. The only true victory is the victory over yourself. The only lasting peace is the peace you create within your own mind. The only freedom that cannot be taken from you is the freedom to choose your response to whatever life presents. This is your inheritance as a man walking the Stoic path. This is your birthright as someone who has learned to value his own peace. Above the temporary satisfaction of emotional reaction, this is your gift to yourself and to everyone whose life you touch, the gift of unshakable calm in a world of manufactured chaos. Embrace the coldness that protects your warmth. Maintain the distance that allows true closeness. Develop the strength that requires no demonstration. This is the way of the Stoic warrior, and this way leads home to yourself, home to your peace, home to the unassailable fortress of a disciplined mind and a protected heart.